This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Philly Sports Guy Show. Today is Tuesday, August 2nd, and not a lot happening in Philadelphia sports yesterday, but that doesn't mean that anybody was sleeping because there was a lot that happened. It just didn't involve anybody from Philadelphia, which is a little concerning to me because it seemed like there were some people that got traded in Major League Baseball that I thought would be really good fits in Philly. And now they went to other teams, which I'm not sure what Dombrowski is doing. I don't understand why they couldn't make a move for some of these people. Specifically, we were just in Pittsburgh, and I'm going to start right there. Quintana. You know what I mean? He pitched well against the Phillies. He's having a pretty good season. He's on a free agent contract, so it wouldn't have cost too much to get him. And where does he go? To the division rival of the Pirates, the Cardinals. And they didn't really give up much for him. I mean, where is it at? Let me see, because I felt like I'm like, why couldn't they trade Quintana for and Chris Stratton, a relief pitcher, Chris Stratton to the Cardinals for Johan Oviedo and infielder Malcolm Nunez. Really? I mean, that was like they were giving up nothing there. The Cardinals gave up not much, and they wind up getting two pitchers. A starting pitcher and a relief pitcher. And like I said, Quintana is actually having a really good season. I think he has an ERA of like a 3.2. And has pitched really well for a team that's not going anywhere. So I was really a little frustrated about the fact that that we didn't leave Pittsburgh with him. I thought that he would have been a great addition to this starting pitching rotation. He would have been a great third or fourth starter. I'm not exactly sure that Zach Eflin is going to make it back this year. I know that they keep saying that he will pitch again. He may come out in relief, but I just, I can't. We can't trust that at this point. Right now, we have two really good pitchers. Ranger Suarez is pitching really well, but he can only go 5 innings, so you definitely have to make sure you have that long relief in the process of that. And right now, our relief pitching is doing real well, short of Familia. And we all are familiar with the way he's pitching, and we don't want him on this team anymore. Unfortunately, I just don't think that the Phillies are one of those teams that are just going to waive him. And they're not going to designate him for assignment. I mean, he's a veteran in this league. The game has just passed him by. He just does not have it anymore, unfortunately. And that's where some of this problem really lies, is that it's just he doesn't really belong on a major league roster. Does that mean he may never be able to be back on a major league roster? I can't answer that question. It might be a mechanic situation, what's going on. but I just know that he is like a pitching machine. And when it's just these pitches for hitters to hit, and these hitters are crushing him every time he goes out onto the mound. They are crushing him. Obviously, we saw it in game one. He went out there with a 6-run lead. He left after pitching 1/3 of an inning, and literally it didn't go. Literally after that, wound up, you know, giving up 5 runs, and made it a save opportunity for Sir Anthony Dominguez. So obviously we can't have him back out there anymore. It's just too much. And we're in the middle of a playoff hunt here. We are in the hunt for Red October, and you cannot have pitchers that can't do the job. So let's go move on now, because there were a ton of trades that happened yesterday, starting with the Red Sox. The Red Sox did a little bit of work yesterday. It's interesting. They bought and sold. So it's interesting how that all worked out. The Reds traded Tommy Pham to the Red Sox for a player to be named later. And then the Red Sox turned around and traded Jake Diekman to the White Sox for Reese McGuire and a player to be named later. And then they traded Christian Vasquez to the Astros for outfielder Weiler Abreu and Emmanuel Valdez. So they acquired some things, but yet also getting rid of some of their big pieces as well, and good for the Red Sox. I don't know that the Red Sox are in this battle. I feel that they've gotten too far out of the wild card. There's too many good teams in the AL competing for the wild card, so I don't think that that's going to make a big difference with everything that's going on. I know that so, and I see what Chris is putting up here, that we're going after Syndergaard and Jackie Bradley Jr. I tell you, everybody's going after Syndergaard right now. Hopefully, they're going to be able to make that splash today before 6 o'clock this evening. It is going to take a lot to be able to get him. So who knows if that's really going to be the case. Let's see what else happened. The Braves acquire Trey Harris. Or they get rid of Trey Harris for I'm going to kill this guy's name, Adrianza, from the Nationals. Hopefully, I said that right. I'm sorry if I did it wrong. But they get an infielder, Adrianza, for Trey Harris. The Mariners trade Anthony Misquez to the Royals for cash. So the Royals actually buying a little bit. I don't know what they're doing. They maybe just they maybe needed to get rid of some players on the Mariners, because they are expecting some things to happen here. And so instead of sending them down to assignment, they're sending them off to other teams. Gonna let them pitch a little bit and do their thing. Relief pitcher Jeremy Walker goes to the Rays for catcher infielder Ford Proctor. So the Giants trying to do a little something. Again, I feel like they're out of the mix, but the Rays absolutely are in the mix. They have, I think they hold right now the third wild card spot in the AL. The Dodgers pick up German Tapia from the Rays for relief pitcher Garrett Clevenger. So the Rays are buying and selling as well. They interesting bedfellows. These trades have been. They've been going back and forth with interesting pairings. I'm surprised at some of the things that are going on here. The D-backs trade relief pitcher Luke Weaver to the Royals for Emmanuel Rivera. The Cubs trade relief pitcher Scott Effross to the Yankees for Hayden Wesneski. The Brewers trade Antoine Kelly and Mark Mathias to the Rangers for relief pitcher Matt Bush. And I tell you, out of all the places where a relief pitcher could be used, the Brewers, I feel like the Brewers are the strongest. That they have so many pitching going on. And then the Brewers trade Josh Hader, who was a good relief pitcher, to the Padres, and they pick up their closer. The closer, he wound up losing his job. Taylor Rogers, a relief pitcher, Dinelson Lamet, outfielder Esteury Ruiz, and Robert Gasser, starting pitcher Robert Gasser. So they wound up a big trade there. That was a big one. The fact that the Padres traded away their closer is telling. Obviously, he lost the job. He wasn't doing really well. He hasn't been pitching a good thing. Yeah, hasn't been pitching good this year. And ultimately, maybe the change of scenery. He's going, these two teams are both going to be in the playoffs, or at least looking to be in the playoffs. The Cardinals may have something to say about that with the Brewers, because as of right now, the Cardinals are on the outside looking in. I'm not sure if they won yesterday, but if they did win yesterday, they're in a virtual tie with the Phillies, but they have been making more moves. So they're going to be trying to make a push. But I think they're going after the Brewers specifically. And the Phillies are going to have to keep up with both of these teams. And the Braves trade relief pitcher Will Smith to the Astros for starting pitcher Jake Adrazi. Uh, obviously, after he smacked, Chris Rock, he just can't stay anywhere. Obviously, it's not that Will Smith that we're talking about, but just a little humor in light of the fact that the Phillies aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing and getting some of these players. I'd like to see some of these, a lot of relief pitching that has been changing hands, and none of the Phillies haven't gotten one of them. They haven't gotten one of them yet. That trade for Sosa, or not Sosa, Soda, was it? Where is he at? Where is he at? Here it is. Sosa, yeah, Edmundo Sosa was a meh trade, and especially with the Cardinals, who you're really kind of go up against. But like I said, there's been a lot of strange bedfellows, that have been on in the trade deadline here. Braves also trade Chris Anglin to the Tigers for Robbie Grossman. So they pick up an outfielder, they pick up a relief pitcher or starting pitcher with Jake Odrazi. They get rid of Chris Anglin. So they're trying to get their lineup together so that they can go back and try to make a run back to the World Series. I would say that as of right this second, the National League has got two teams that you have to really worry about: the Dodgers. You could say the Mets, but realistically, it's the Braves. I think that the Mets they haven't done enough yet to really prove that they're going to do it. We are in the month of August. This is where the bats seem to go cold traditionally for the Mets. We'll see if that continues to occur as things go on. Another big trade. This is a 3-team trade for the Astros. They trade Jose Siri to the Rays and starting pitcher Chase McDermott to the Orioles, and they the Orioles trade first baseman Trey Mancini and starting pitcher Jaden Murray. And I think Mancini wound up going to the Astros. Murray wound up going to the Rays, and the Rays traded starting pitcher Seth Johnson to the Orioles. So there was a lot happening with that trade specifically. And again, no Phillies involved. It's just that the too many relief pitchers have changed teams for the Phillies not to be involved with any of this, and it's a little frustrating because where are they going to go? If we don't pick up anybody, if they aren't able to make any of these trades, and I know Chris is on some of this. Chris Lentz is on some of this. If we pick up Brett Phillips, since he was designated for a sign, we don't have to trade anymore, and plus we can go after pitchers. Then I don't know. I think we need some relief pitching. I know that we need one extra starting pitching, and there was just too many that went to different teams that could have come to the Phillies that they didn't need to trade much. I mean, like listen to this trade, this final trade here, where the Yankees, again, I feel like just robbed the Athletics here. The Athletics trade starting pitcher Frankie Montas, who was a big name in this mix, and Lou Trevino, relief pitcher Lou Trevino, for Ken Waldichuk, J.P. Sears, Louis Medina, and Cooper Bowman. Now, I ain't a Yankees fan, but none of these names ring anything to me. You know what I mean? So maybe they're worth something somewhere. Obviously, to the Athletics, they are. But I mean, these are the types of things that are going to really kill us if these guys wind up doing something here, and the Phillies could have acquired them but didn't get up off of anything. So it's going to be interesting. We have what, just under 9 hours left to go in today's before the trade deadline hits, and hopefully the Phillies are going to make some moves. I know that as of right now, they haven't done anything. Everybody's waking up and getting themselves started and moving in this direction. So we will see what actually occurs. That being said, let's go to a quick commercial break. And when we are back in just over a minute, we'll talk about some of the other things that are happening, especially some news in the NFL. Obviously, there was a ruling that came down yesterday. So we'll talk about that once we get back from this commercial break.
The Hometown Foundation is excited to bring back the Dream Ride experience, August 26th to the 28th at Connecticut's Farmington Polo Club. Join us in celebrating the accomplishments of our Dream Riders while enjoying live music, a car and motorcycle show, family fun zone, pet adoptions, canine demonstrations, the Fireman's Chili Cook-Off, and much, much more. Get your tickets today.
You can see right now, without LeBron, Lakers are struggling.
Let me tell you about a team I hate, all right? I know the Dallas Cowboy fan is here, so I had to make sure he knew how much I hate this team.
I'm ready.
I've often said that the people who run baseball, they try very hard to ruin it.
I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a problem saying it to his face. Oh, I'm from Brooklyn. Hey, get any.
And we are back. So let's go over something very, very quickly before we get into NFL action. Everybody's been hearing about and the big news in the golf world is how the LIV, is actually going and trying to take some of these players that are on the PGA Tour away from the PGA by offering them tons and tons of money. And they went after Tiger Woods. And they offered him a small mint to try to come over to the LIV, and he turned them down. He was offered somewhere in the neighborhood of $700 to $800 million to come to the LIV, and he turned them down. Now, I don't know. Me personally, if somebody's going to offer me $800 million, I know Tiger is not crying for money. That's not obviously he's going to live comfortably and it doesn't matter what he does. However, to be able to hold true to the PGA and not go over to the LIV after being offered that much money, absolutely crazy. That is absolutely crazy. You're turning down $750 million. He's going to get more money than the person who won the the Mega Millions in St. Louis, by taking all the cash out at once. He was going to get more money from that than that person was going to win by taking the cash all at once. And that is amazing to me that he turned that down. I assume the PGA has got some really good pictures of him doing some very funny things, though, for him to be able to turn down that much money. It literally, $800 million. The fight would be out of me. I'd go play golf wherever. Obviously, you don't even want me on your golf course when, just normal. I am one of the world's worst golfers. Every time I go golfing, I have to bring a full bag of golf balls because I lose them. It's like I need to get it's Illinois, not St. Louis. I'm sorry. Thank you for the heads up on who won the Mega Millions. I know neither way it wasn't me, because I tell you, if I won that Mega Millions, first thing I was going to do was buy the Flyers. But I digress. I'm trying to stay in a good mood as I am here broadcasting live from Canton, Ohio, where this week we are going to be going live a lot. You're going to see a lot of the festivities that are happening here at the Hall of Fame. So please keep tuned. Subscribe to the Philly Sports Guy. I'm trying to make a big push for my YouTube channel. So if you could, please go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/The Philly Sports Guy, and you'll be able to see everything that's going on this week out in Canton, Ohio. But let's talk NFL. Now, there was a ruling that came down yesterday. Deshaun Watson. It was ruled that Deshaun Watson is only going to be suspended for 6 games and that there is no additional fine that is happening, which I found odd. I found that very odd because everybody knows his contract this year. His contract specifically, he is only going to be making $1 million this year in salary. So being suspended for 6 games, he's going to lose a total of $350,000 out of the salary that he signed. And I find that is a problem. So the NFL is contemplating whether they want to appeal this ruling. And it's interesting how this is all going to work, because if they do appeal this ruling, I mean, this was ruled on by a judge, but if the NFL appeals it, the person who actually hears that hearing, the appeals hearing, is Roger Goodell. And I know that right now the NFL is going to try to go from a place of strength here. That they feel that this is not enough, that they may, I feel like that they may just try to flex their muscles here a little bit and go, okay, we won an extra 2 games, and go 8, and we're going to fine you $10 million. And I feel like that was part of the thought process there, where it's like, okay, obviously having being suspended for half a year and you're only getting paid $500,000. Obviously, if you get suspended for 8 games, that's $450,000 or $475,000. It's just under $500,000. You're still going to get paid $500,000. You're out for half of the season, and you come back in the second half of the season for the Browns. You don't want to kill the franchise in Cleveland over all this, because they were the ones that made this trade happen and signed him to this type of contract. But ultimately, I feel like that, when 37% of your viewing audience is female, that you have to stand up for them a little bit. And that's what I feel is part of what's happening here, that the NFL, I do expect, are going to appeal. As they appeal this, it has to go to Roger Goodell. Roger Goodell is going to have to make some type of situation here and see what kind of backlash comes from all of this. There is going to be a backlash. And I suspect that anytime that the Browns go anywhere this year in the second half of the season with Deshaun Watson, that you're going to see women's groups out there protesting. However, there was a reason why there was no criminal charges pushed here. And the reason is that if you were to charge Deshaun Watson criminally here, you would have also had to charge the women, because they were paid for sexual activities. And unfortunately, that would be considered prostitution. And that's the reason why they could not really go after these women. You cannot make somebody who's claiming to be a victim all of a sudden somebody who's now going to possibly go to jail or have to fight criminally for something that occurred. So this is a very unique type of situation. The judge also ruled that Deshaun Watson, he can't get massages anymore outside of the team facilities. It's got to all happen within the team facilities, and it can only happen from team personnel. So it could be a little interesting on how that occurs. Is he going to continue to get these massages? Is he, obviously there's not going to be a camera on him 24/7. So, and I got to imagine when you start this type of situation, obviously he's got something that may need some therapy or whatever, because obviously he likes this type of situation occurring all of the time. There's a pattern here of what's been happening that maybe he needs some therapy on what's happening here. Judge didn't think so. the judge did not say he needed any therapy or I mean, because obviously there is uh, you could be addicted to sex. There are sexual, you know, situations out there that you wind up having. You need to get counseling on and need to get help about. It's you know you know Sexaholics Anonymous is out there for certain people. So is that what this really falls into? I can't speak. Obviously, I don't know the gentleman personally. Uh, I know that 24 counts, 25 counts are a big deal. All of those women wound up getting paid pretty well. So I got to imagine he's hurting for some money. That's why it's going to be really interesting. He's got to wait till next year before he starts to get really paid, since he's going to lose 350,000 of his $1 million, and I got to imagine he's living a lifestyle that costs more than $1 million a year because he is an NFL quarterback and a good one who got paid a little bit. But ultimately, it's going to be interesting to see what happens here over the next few days. The NFL has 72 hours to appeal this ruling, and like I says, it then goes to the hands of the commissioner. And Roger Goodell. This is why Roger gets paid the big bucks. I'll tell you, the one thing that I could say about Roger Goodell is that he's very good at sweeping things under the carpet, that he knows really what's going to be best both for the NFL and, you know, for the people that watch the NFL. Now, is it always going to be perfect? No, I don't think that there's anybody who wins here. There's never going to be uh, a winner in this situation. The NFL's got a black eye already because of this. Deshaun Watson is going to have it for years, is going to be followed around by women activist groups that are going to say that how bad that he was and what type of guy he has been. Very similar to the way Mike Vick got all of the PETA people, and dog lovers up in arms everywhere he went. Does that mean that he doesn't deserve a second chance? He's such a good athlete that really plays a big part in all of this. So maybe, because of that alone, you think about how many people actually make it into the NFL. The population of this world is 9 billion people, and there is only 1,600 jobs, call it 2,000 jobs in total in the NFL, between these teams and all of the practice players and things of that nature. So it's a very small percentage of people that ever even make it into the NFL. So when you have that type of talent, there isn't many others that can kind of do that. The NFL it was reported that they were going after multiple year suspensions, and the judge ruled that only 6 games. The NFLPA had said that they are not going to appeal this, that they thought that the ruling was fair. The fact that he did not get fined any additional money, and the fact that he also was only 6 games, they felt that ruling was in line with all of the other rulings moving forward. However, then you think of what happened with that receiver who was gambling, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, he's suspended for a year. That guy, it's okay for a year, but going ahead and being a sexual deviant for to 25 women, that's not a big deal, and that's only worth 6 games. So it's going to, I think, like I said, it's got a black eye around everybody. Everybody is affected with this ruling. So we'll see what the NFL decides to do. I feel like that they are going to appeal, and then at that point, they are only going to probably add a couple of games and probably add a fine to this. At that point, the NFLPA may decide to appeal, or they may just decide to let this all go. Obviously, it depends on how crazy the NFL wants to get, on how high the back of the NFLPA is going to get over this, because obviously they're trying to protect their players, and this is one of these situations where they are going to go to the hill because there's a lot of money at stake for Deshaun Watson. And there's a lot of interest in this from all of the fans in Cleveland, because is Brissett really the quarterback that you're going to start with? Obviously, they're going to have to either way. But anyways, our half hour is up. That was so fast. It just happened. And there wasn't even any Philadelphia, anything happening in Philadelphia sports. So everybody, thank you very much for joining. And as always, see you tomorrow and go Phillies.